Warning, warning, trigger warning. If you easily triggerable, right? Don't walk, don't pass go, don't collect no money. I ain't got none, but you just got to go. Because we trigger people around here with these stories and with my mouth. So I'll be giving that warning. Get on out of here. But for the rest, if y'all rough and tough and ready to, let's get it. I'm not sure. So this says a sealed indictment, but I definitely got this from the United States website. So I'm not sure why it says sealed, and it does say the United States of America v. Lamor Whitehead. I'm not even sure what this man's name is. Do it say the United States of America? Is it because they like federal charges? Do they distinguish when it's federal and it just be the United States? I didn't know that this was federal. I was just being nosy, but dang, what you do? The overview. The charges in this indictment arise from a course of conduct in which Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, sought money and other things of value from victims on the basis of either threats or false promises that the victims' investments with Whitehead would benefit the victims financially. In fact, Whitehead, who leads a church in Brooklyn, New York, intended to and did defraud the victims by taking their money and other property with no intentions of investing it, returning it, or enriching the victims. What? Damn, they must got a lot of evidence to say you straight was not even going to do it. From at least in or about April 2020 up to and including in or about July 2021, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, elicited approximately $90,000 from an individual who attended his church, Victim 1, through a series of cell phone and internet communications with Victim 1 and her son. Under the terms of their agreement, Whitehead would use the money to assist Victim 1 in obtaining a home, and after doing so, Whitehead would otherwise be able to use the money as an investment in his real estate businesses. However, shortly after Victim 1 transferred Whitehead the money from her retirement savings, Whitehead instead used Victim 1's money to purchase thousands of dollars of luxury goods and clothing. And he continued to use Victim 1's money for his own purposes. Whitehead never helped Victim 1 obtain a home and has not returned Victim 1's money despite her request that he do so. In or about April and May 2022, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, attempted to convince a businessman, Victim 2, to lend Whitehead approximately $500,000 and give him a stake in certain real estate transactions. Whitehead told Victim 2 that in exchange for this money and interest in real estate transactions, Whitehead would obtain favorable actions by the New York City government for Victim 2 that would enrich both Whitehead and Victim 2, when Whitehead knew that he had no ability to obtain such actions. Despite that knowledge, Whitehead told Victim 2 that they would make millions. I mean, this man, he might as well been selling some Bitcoin, some cryptocurrencies, something like that. What in the world? Why? Number 4. Near the beginning of his relationship with Victim 2, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, also used threats of force to obtain $5,000 from a business owned by the Victim 2. At the direction of law enforcement, Victim 2 made the payment to Whitehead. During the course of the investigation into the conduct of Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, special agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigations executed a search warrant for cell phones on the person of Whitehead. Whitehead told the agents that he owned only the cell phone which was then on his person. When Whitehead knew that he in fact owned a second cell phone, phone 2, which he regularly used which he regularly used before and after the execution of the warrant. including to send a text message in which Whitehead identified phone 2 as my other phone, shortly after telling the agents that he had no other phones. Wow. So you not good at this? I'm confused. Count 1, wire fraud. The grand jury charges the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 5 above are hereby repeated, alleged, and incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. That goes double for me. That is all allegations, and they're hereby repeated, alleged, and incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. I don't know what the rest of that mean, but it's definitely all alleged in my opinion, everything that's being said here. So I appreciate you, count number 1, for making sure I remember to say that kind of stuff for myself too. Ditto. From at least in or about April 2020 up to and including in or about June 2021 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, having devised and intending to devise a scheme and artifact to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises, transmitted and caused to be transmitted by means of wire, radio, and television, communication in interstate and foreign commerce, writings, signs, signals, pictures, and sounds. What? For the purpose of executing such scheme and artifact, to wit, Whitehead made material misrepresentations to victim 1 and her son to obtain money from victim 1 as a purported real estate investment, which he received in part through use of interstate wire, when he in fact intended to use the investment in whole or in part for personal purposes. Should I read the title for you? It's Title 18, in case you was wondering. United States Code Section 1343 and 2. Jesus. That sounds like a lot. I mean, I know these is like the normal charges, but I never really read them. But that sounds like a lot. I'm scared. How long is we going to jail for? Allegedly. Count 2. The grand jury further charges the the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 5 above are hereby repeated, alleged, and incorporated. Okay, I'm not going to read that one because I see that's a repeat. These repeat a lot, so I'm definitely going to skip the first little paragraph, and I may skip some of the other words in the other paragraphs. In or about April and May 2022 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, having devised and intending to devise a scheme and artifact to defraud and for obtaining money and property by means of false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises, transmitted and caused to be transmitted by means of wire, radio, and television, communication in interstate and foreign commerce, writings, signs, signals, pictures, and sounds for the purpose of executing such scheme and artifact, to wit, Whitehead made material misrepresentations to victim 2 in interstate communications and otherwise in an attempt to convince victim 2 to transfer money and other property to Whitehead. Count 3. From in or about February 2022 through in or about April 2022 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, knowingly and willfully committed and attempted to commit extortion, as that term is defined in 18 U.S.C. 1951B2. I don't know. I know I missed some, I don't know. Some pretenses. I don't know. By obtaining and attempting to obtain money and property from another person with his consent, which consent was and would have been induced by the wrongful use of action and threatened force, violence, and fear, and thereby would and did obstruct, delay, and affect commerce and the movement of articles and commodities in commerce, as that term is defined in 18 U.S.C. What's the dollar sign thingy? Is it code 1951 subsection B subsection 3? I don't know. I be thinking I hear that, so maybe that's what that means. To wit, Whitehead used threats of force to attempt to obtain $5,000 from a business located in parts in the in the Bronx, New York, and owned by victim 2. Count 4, the grand jury further charges. They said they further charge on or about June 8, 2022, in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, in a manner within the jurisdiction of the executive branch of the government of the United States, knowingly and willfully falsified, concealed, and covered up by a trick, scheme, and device a material fact, and made a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement and representations. To wit, during the execution of a search warrant for cell phones on Whitehead's person, Whitehead told special agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigations that he owned only the cell phone which was then on his person when Whitehead knew that he in fact only used phone 2. Wait a minute, y'all not charging that man for that? Y'all petty. I swear y'all petty. That's petty. Y'all better stop playing with these people when they ask y'all these questions. Forfeiture allegations. 14, as a result of committing the offense alleged in count 1 and 2 of this indictment, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18, United States Code, Section 98, subsection A1C, and Title 228, United States Code, Section 2461C, and all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offenses, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offenses. Oh, I was scared. I thought they was going to get an amount. As a result of committing the offense alleged in count 3 of this indictment, Lamor Whitehead, the defendant, shall forfeit to the United States pursuant to Title 18, United States Code, Section 98, A1C, and Title 28, United States Code, Section 2461C, any and all property and real and personal that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense, including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of said offense. It's a substitute assets provisions. Is there anything different that needs to be read? Probably not. E, has been commingled with other properties which cannot be subdivided. Okay, that was just the same thing. Okay, yeah, all the rest of that is just telling them how they want it, when they want it. Or better yet, they telling you how you gonna get OMG. Well, let me introduce you. I'm horrible, so I can't even really introduce you. I am not sure how to pronounce Lamor, as you are fully aware, but this is Pastor Whitehead, Preacher Whitehead, whatever his name is. I don't know. I've never personally been to a page. Not my cup of tea. Would not watch a sermon or anything like that. But when everything happened, when he got robbed in his church, and when he mushed the one lady who was, I don't know, the one lady who was in his church, the lawyers was talking about her. So I was all up on their pages watching them on YouTube. So I at least know some pretext of some stuff that's been happening around this man. But I did start hearing about this. And I was definitely more interested in this because I wanted to see what had happened. That's so sad. I hope them people got their house. And you know what I'm interested in now is Darius Cooks. I believe he got charges. And he got a lot of stuff. I was telling my son, he was selling cakes, but he was also selling cake kits. So you could buy a cake kit, and inside of the kit, once you made the cake, you would have an address label to mail the cake off. And when you mailed that cake off, you didn't know, and neither did the person receiving it know that when they brought a cake from him, they was getting the cake from the person in their house. So I could have brought some Betty Crocker cake mix, and inside it could have been a shipping label. I made that cake with her directions, made it look all pretty, did my best, and then put the label on it to get judged on how well I did, and not knowing I'm sending it to Betty Crocker fans in California. He was doing them dirty, and I think I just heard something about him, so I'm gonna look and see if he got an indictment next. Yeah, y'all, we just trying to learn. We trying to be smart. We not trying to get indicted. So y'all see what they did. You see what they did. Don't do that. Don't do that. All right, y'all. Y'all be good. Bye.